So today I want to talk about a very specific problem. Do you always need to press the clutch when you want to brake? Hi guys, Mark here. Today I wanted to talk about quite a simple thing, but in the long run, quite an important one. Do you need to press the clutch every time you want to brake? And the short story is, no, you don't. However, there will be situations where you do need to start by pressing the clutch, although it's quite challenging sometimes to fully understand why that is the case. And also to appreciate what are the benefits of not having to press the clutch every single time you want to use the brake. So the simple way to describe this is that if you're holding gas, you usually will be able to start with just braking, and you can enter with the clutch at a later stage. But if you're driving without gas and the revs of the engine are at the minimum, you may want to start with the clutch and then press the brake. So it may sound confusing to start with, but with a little bit of practice, you will get used to it, and it will open a whole range of new opportunities for you and will give you much better control over the vehicle. You will feel that the car is more obedient and it's actually doing exactly what you want it to do. Okay, but why is that the case? So where does all that come from? Well, again, it's to do with the main reason for the clutch, the underlying reason for the clutch. And that is to compensate for the weaknesses of internal combustion engine, or the problems you have to overcome while driving, or the limitations of internal combustion engine. So what's the problem here? Well, the engine cannot spin extremely slowly. So you can see that if you do have a rev meter in your car, that as soon as you start the engine, so we're going to do it just now, look what happens with the revs. They went to 1. Actually, the scale is times 1,000. So pretty much straight away, you have almost 1,000 revs, or about 800 revs. And that is the minimum. You can add acceleration, you can add gas to increase the revs, but when they drop to a certain level. And that is why at some point you do need the clutch. However, if you're driving and you're keeping the revs above the minimum, you don't need to worry about the clutch. You can slow down, you can brake, you can change your speed without needing to do anything with the clutch until the revs drops to the minimum. Okay, so what does it mean in practice? Well, in practice it means whenever you're slowing down, you cannot allow the revs to drop below minimum. In this case, it's about 800 or 900. So let's move off and see how to put it in focus. Okay, so currently I'm driving in second gear, doing about 25 miles an hour. As you can see, the revs are quite high, engine is really loud, but that means if I want to slow down, I can gently just brake. I'm checking mirrors and braking. You can see the speed drops, the revs dropping at the same time. Once they get close to minimum, close to about 1,000, that's when I'm gonna press the clutch down and I can continue slowing down to a full stop. So that's a simple demonstration of what you can do. Okay, that's start-stop system kicking in. Okay, but you don't always want to come to a full stop. Sometimes you just want to slow down. So we have a sharp bend coming here, doing about 30 again. So this time, I'm gonna slow down for the bend. So gently braking. I'm gonna slow to about 15, letting go of the brake, and I can continue through. Because the revs never got to the minimum, there is no need to press the clutch. I can actually carry on, going to third. However, if you're driving and the revs are quite low, so that's the case now, I'm in fourth gear doing 30 miles an hour, because this is what this car recommends me to be doing. Notice the revs are quite close to minimum. So I'm gonna try to pull up on the side, and that means almost immediately I would have to press the clutch. I'm gonna signal, gently braking, and almost straight away, boom, clutch down. Otherwise, you get to a situation where you're forcing the engine to spin slower than the minimum, and that's where it's gonna start to struggle, and eventually it will stall. There's another thing here, and that is higher gears are longer gears. So what I mean by that? Well, in low gears, for example in first gear, the revs will drop very quickly compared to the speed. So you will have to very quickly come in with a clutch. I'll demonstrate that in first gear. So notice when we have about 1000 RPM, we're doing about 4 miles an hour. Changing the speed of the engine by 1000, so getting to 2000 RPM, only gives us what, 10 miles an hour? So that means if I'm slowing down very quickly, I need to kick in with the clutch, because very quickly I'm getting to a point where the engine will struggle. So in first gear, all it took was slowing down by 5, 6, 7 miles an hour, and already you had to kick in with the clutch. It will be completely different at higher gears. Okay, so this time we have a national speed limit road here, so we can get up to 60, and that will suit us nicely to show you what's happening with fourth gear. So fourth gear is different. So at the moment I'm in fourth gear doing about 50 miles an hour, because that's what I get at 2000 RPM. So we're gonna try to slow down by 1000 RPM. So we're gonna try to start braking here. So I'm braking, no clutch necessary just now. The revs are dropping, and I'm getting close to 1000 RPM. There we are. So that's what, 25 miles an hour. So in fourth gear, you can change your speed by 25 miles an hour by changing the revs by 1000 RPM. So going from 2000 to 1000, change the speed by 25 miles an hour. Remember in first gear, that was only 6 or 7. So that's what I mean by saying that higher gears are longer. That means you can brake for much longer before the need to press the clutch comes in. And then you get to situations where you're driving at very low revs. So I got into this town, I'm in third gear, I didn't change just now for this meeting situation. So notice I'm very slow for third gear here, barely hovering above 1000 RPM. And that means if I want to stop, which is what I'm doing, almost immediately I had to press the clutch down. This is actually a situation where you may even consider starting with the clutch, because otherwise you may not have enough time to press the clutch and you will stall. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the film. If you did, please hit the like button, maybe even subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, stay safe and drive smart.